We've shown how stable the Bosang tool is, using IDs, basically independent of IDs and classes, only using the content of the actual buttons to make its element selection and decisions. Now we're going to look at something that is a little more technical, but still very useful. So we'll just have one single thing on it. It's basically around using data. So what I'll do is I'm creating this module called using data here. Then I'll record a new test case. So let's look what that's going to be. That's going to be concat strings. So this test case is around using data that your application produces. So let's click on concat strings. Let's get that URL and let's get started. So start by saving this, and again, just double clicking here to make sure you're at concat strings. Everything seems to be working. So what we're going to do is very simple. You hit generate strings, and then you need to type the strings together. If I type tiger bunny, we're good. But if I type something like fail, right? So we're going to use the information that the application produces, which is a very, very common case, very useful. So what we're going to do is we're going to reload this page, and then going to hit record and generate the strings. Now we're going to use something called extract data, okay? So what we're doing now is we're using extract data, and we're highlighting here to find the horse, and then we're doing extract data again to find the bear. Very good. So now you see we have test TMP value being set already. So what I can do now is that in the next test TMP value I'm setting, I can basically just do plus equals, which means add it together with the other one. I'll do that, and then I'll basically just say, okay, I'll type something here in the record. Let's say it's test. And what I'll do is I'll just say, okay, let's do parameter, doesn't matter. And then I'll do submit, because now I can just look what I typed in. It was like parameter, right? So let's look at the event here, and you see that the value that it's using is test. But let's not do that. Let's use the test TMP value, right? Because I think that's what it said in the extract data that it's using, right? Test TMP value. So now we should be good. We're setting the test TMP value and we're extracting the data. So let's see if this works. It will not work, I can tell you that. But let's just go with the test first, and I'll tell you why it won't work. Basically, it doesn't find those strings. Remember, we use natural language to locate elements. What you can see here, what it's trying to locate is contains bear and contains horse. So it's actually just good for bears and horses, right? So instead here, we want to go to the DOM picker, which we've seen before, but I'm just going to really explain. So I'm going to go and I'm going to select the turtle now. And then I'm going to look at what's actually being done here. So what we want to do is we want to extract this here and make sure that I'm using the class strings span string 1. So I want to highlight string 1. And then I want to basically just select that. And then I want to make sure that there is nothing that is like contains horse. So just remove that there. So the whole contains, the idea is basically that we want to look for the span, not for the content this time. We want to look for the span with the class string 1. And on the second one, we want to do the same thing. We want to highlight it, select it, and we want to look at No, let's look at the class strings, not contains turtle. Instead, the span, so let's select it, bird, the span, see if I can get this up again. Yes, there it is. That is string 2, right? So make sure to select that, and then make sure to remove this bird. So there is no matching on the actual content of the element. And you can play around with the DOM picker and get it to be very, very exact to pick exactly what you're after, right? So if you look at the element now, you see there is still the contains turtle, so you want to remove that there. That's good. So let's look at both the strings. So one, no, I forgot to remove contains horse. So we're gonna make sure to remove that there. Contains span string 1, that's good. And then here, span string 2. That's exactly what we want. So let's try that. So what we've done now is, just because we're getting this dynamic elements, we want to go back to kind of classic selectors using class or ID to select them, okay? So now we're going to try again. Now you saw that I made a mistake, and this is a very common mistake. For variables, you'll have to use the double bracket. So basically, these brackets, right? So if you have, those are the brackets we have to use. So right now, I have a problem writing them from a Mac directly into the tool. So I'm just going to copy them into here. Now we try again. There we are. Very good. So now it's a little bit messier. You have to do a little bit more with data and make sure the DOM picker is getting the right value. But now we managed to extract the two elements from the page, concatenate them, and put them together. And of course, what this really shows you is that here we can actually write any JavaScript code, right? And that's what's really powerful. So when we need to do powerful thing, we can always resort to JavaScript.